fellow dissidents and dissenters of the establishment narrative. Welcome to the SteveGravesRadio show, the show with the most honest and raw and apparently the most dangerous commentary. The things said on this show, they're not going to make you very popular. In fact, they probably get your ass in trouble. Sorry to say it, but that's the truth. The only thing is, I don't want to bow down. I don't want to bow down to the masters, the people who tell me I can or cannot say certain things. Founding fathers of this country, they fought a whole ass war over what started over taxes, right? Now look where we're at with that. They also created the Constitution, which gave us the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. And I plan on exercising that. Nobody's going to scare me. We're going to talk a little bit about that because I got permanent banned from Discord. They said that I was participating in violent extremism. Where they got that idea, I have no idea. They didn't send any evidence to prove that. They didn't give me any explanation at all. But anyways, as always on this show, we are working to deprogram our minds from the powerful brainwashing that we've all been subjected to for our entire lives. Not just us, our parents, grandparents, them, the great-grandparents, everybody. For who knows how long, thousands of years. So we want to see reality for what it truly is. We do live in a matrix, for lack of a better analogy, a simulation. You know, people say that, oh, I believe we live in a simulation. It sounds crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like a computer simulation? No, that's not. I mean, maybe some people are saying that. I don't know. I can't speak for them. That's not what I would mean saying that's a simulation. A reality is simulated because we don't really have full control over our destiny. We are put into a system, not by choice. You know, I didn't ask to be put into the system at birth. When they put you into the social security system, all of a sudden you have all these identifications and all of these things that really you are not a person if you do not have them. And person has a specific definition. It's not being a person and being a human being are not the same thing. You have to have personhood to be a person. The government gives you personhood. They decide that you are a person. When they give you an identity, they give you a birth certificate and social security number and all those things. So, anyways, we don't have total control over our destiny. We have to pay taxes. That's not by choice. Imagine if you want to try to go off grid, it's basically illegal. It's basically illegal to go live naturally under the current systems that are in play. You know, this is a simulated reality. They are the ones who control what you can or cannot do. If you go against it, well, you may end up in prison or being fined financially into oblivion. Who knows what? You never know. You never know what they'll do to you. There's no end to what they will do. Do everything. So, all right, let's see. We got Magus over here. Glad you were able to find it. Rob Rosehorn, glad you were able to find it as well. I don't have a Discord channel anymore. They nuked it. So I'm not able to send out the mass message so for people to know when I'm coming on, and I haven't been going live lately. I've been sort of under the weather. You know, I can't catch a break. You know, for those of you that follow the show, you know that I'm dealing with some serious health problems having to do with my spinal cord, and it's causing a lot of issues throughout my body. It's extremely difficult. I'm becoming more and more debilitated and immobilized by the week. Unfortunately, things don't seem to get better at all. They only get worse. And then I got nuked on Discord. I couldn't even tell you guys what's going on. I got a sinus infection. I'm still dealing with the sinus infection, but it seems to be getting better now. I had started with a sore throat and turned into a sinus thing, and so I wasn't able to talk that well for a few days there, but I'm feeling a little bit better now. We're going to try and get through a few different things tonight as long as I can hold up. I definitely want to talk about Luigi Mangione, because I can relate with the guy. I'm not condoning violence and murder. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is I can totally relate to the guy. He had a spinal injury. He had spinal surgery. He was dealing, apparently, I'm assuming, with insurance companies. He killed a CEO of the biggest insurance company in the country or the planet, probably. Insurance is a scam. One of the most massive scams in this country. It ranks up there with the Federal Reserve. It ranks up there with Social Security. It's right in there. It's right in that range. So we'll talk about Mangione, how I feel about that. We're going to talk about what's going on in Syria. And also, Donald Trump has been nominated by Time Magazine, Times Person of the Year. What does that really mean? Now, I've talked about this multiple times now. Donald Trump bent the knee and he kissed the ring. He did all the stuff. He wore the little tiny hat. He did all those things that you have to do to get in the good graces of those who hold the power within the media, within the banking institutions, within the war machine, the medical machines, everything. There seems to be a certain group of people who has a lot of influence and a lot of power in the areas, in the sectors that tend to have the most influence and an impact on everybody's lives. What are the most important things? I mean, your medical, your health, extremely important. If we're going to war or not, what kind of weapons we're building, who we're selling the weapons to. This is important. We don't want to end up in combat on a battlefield, dying for who knows what reason. Not for Americans, obviously. We know that these wars have nothing to do with the U.S. It has to do more with Israel. Your banking, your financial, your money, literally everything you buy is impacted by the people who control the banks and things, so on and so forth. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the greater Israel agenda. Basically, everybody says, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. There's no greater Israel agenda." But it's like, what are you talking about? How can you say that when they're literally bombing multiple countries all at once here? And they're not shy about this stuff. They talk about this stuff. Rabbi Rebbe Schneerson or whatever, the Lubavitch Chabads and the tunnel Jews in New York. Apparently they're very powerful. We didn't really know much about them, or at least your layman, your common person, myself included, didn't know much about the Lubavitch Chabads or whatever the hell they are until they started digging tunnels and doing weird stuff. Who knows how many other synagogues around the country, around the world, have these secret tunnels. They came up with some story, who knows what, obviously a lie. They lie about everything. You expect the media or any of these powerful institutions to ever tell you the truth, you're out of your damn mind. So yeah. Oh, I do got my my cider. This is a Samuel Smith. It's organic, folks, right here. It tells me it's organic. So hopefully it's not bad for me. It does taste delicious. All right, before we get into it, let's see. I got a couple chats here. Maga says Iranian drones, quote unquote Iranian drones. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that floating around. I haven't investigated too much. I saw some videos, looked very weird. I don't know. I haven't really investigated that. As I've said, I'm not even really truly that deeply paying attention to the news anymore because I got a lot of bigger fish to fry. I got problems that I'm dealing with in real life. Rob says, as a Canadian, I cannot comprehend your healthcare system is completely fucked, in my opinion. We don't get free healthcare, but I like our socialized system better. Personally, I also pay for meds. All right, we'll get into that when we get to the Mangione thing. I disagree with you on socialized healthcare. I disagree with the system we have in the U.S. as well, by the way. I think the system the U.S. has, horrible. But I don't think that Canada's system is the answer, and I do have the answer. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I have the answer. It's a simple answer, and it's an answer that will never happen because that would allow too much freedom, and it would allow too much prosperity for your average human beings. So, all right, we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's talk about, me getting, I figure just to confirm for you guys the evidence here that, yes, Discord sent me this. Hi, your recent activity broke Discord's rules, and we have taken action on your account. You can learn more about this violation by viewing your account standing. I did click that link as well. I have a screenshot of that. Now, I don't know what they're talking about because I have not really been chatting in Discord at all. Other than when I have a show randomly, I'll pop a link in there, or maybe to talk about the price of silver, or just random stuff once in a while we do talk about. But other than that, and it had probably been a week since I had even chatted at all in the Discord. So I don't know if there was activity going on in there that I'm not aware of. I don't know why I'm getting blamed for it and why I'm getting nuked and permanent banned. I know that there was a guy in there, I don't know, a year ago or something, maybe longer. And he was saying a bunch of crazy stuff about a violent revolution. And, we kind of thought maybe this guy is a fed. He's a glowy, he's in here baiting, people or something like that. Maybe that was the case. I don't know. I don't know whatever happened to that guy. I'm not sure. We kind of shut him down. Maybe he came back and while I wasn't watching, said a bunch of stuff, and then all of a sudden I don't know. I have no idea. They didn't give me an explanation. So it continues on here. When we reactively or proactively discover a violation of the community guidelines, we may take a number of enforcement steps, including issuing warnings, removing content, suspending or removing the violative accounts and or servers, and potentially reporting them to law enforcement. So there you go. Anyways, here's one of the co-founders, obviously a Jew, founded Discord. There's probably the regulators that work within the within their company as far as censoring. Probably a lot of them. There's a lot of nepotism within the Jewish community. I'm sure a lot of the people he hired are Jews that were put into these positions that to kind of control content, and anything that they disagree with will be deemed something that's against their rules, and they'll call it violent extremism, like they did with my channel. Even though there was nothing violent or extreme, maybe you could consider me an extremist when it comes to the certain things that are actually, very wholesome and good. Like, hey, grow your own food, raise your own animals, things like that. Yeah, I'm a bit of an extremist. I'm a free market extremist. I don't believe in this extremely corrupt system of capitalism, or I don't believe in any of this communist and socialism. I believe in free markets, free marketism, whatever you want to call it. But the free market is the would be the most important thing that could make our world a better place. So anyways, here's what they put: violent extra. Your account is suspended. Now it's here it says suspended, but somewhere else it said that it was permanently banned. There was no recourse for this. There was no fighting it. There was no asking for a verification. They didn't give me anything. So it says my server, Legion of Dissent, broke Discord's rules for violent extremism. A server you joined, Legion of Dissent, broke Discord's rules. I don't know. I don't know what I did to break the rules. Now, I don't personally, I don't like glorify violent revolution. I think that it's the scariest possibility. I hate violence. I hate war. I hate all of it. I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want us to go to war. I don't want there to have to be a war. I don't want there to be a civil war. I don't want any of these things. Now, I have made predictions. I do think that violent revolution will come to be. I don't see any way around it. I think that is in the pipeline. I think just knowing human beings and the fact that, you can put them in a pressure cooker for so long, eventually you're going to get guys like Luigi. And who knows how many more are out there. I guarantee you. Now, look, he's being glorified by a lot of leftists, which, look, I'm okay with it. I'm not saying that you should glorify his action, but the fact that, his reasoning behind it is not like insane or anything. It's not like he was going and just killing a random person. He was doing it. He was setting a message. He was fighting in a personal war. We've talked about, Ted Kaczynski and guys like that, or Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh, He was, and if you read his letters from prison, he was a soldier. He went over to the Middle East in the 90s into Iraq, a Desert Storm, and was blowing guys' heads off and they were blowing up all of these government buildings with innocent civilians and people, government workers inside of them. And he was very confused. He goes, well, we're just blowing up all these people. And he's like, that's kind of not right. The government says, well, these are strategic government targets. So it's fair game. So in his eyes, he goes, well, if these buildings, these government buildings in foreign countries are legitimate and justified enemy military targets, well, then his own personal war was against the U.S. government. And so places like the Oklahoma City building there, they were, in his eyes, considered legitimate military targets. Now, in Luigi Mangioni's, I'm assuming that he considered healthcare CEOs to be legitimate targets in his war. All right, what else we got? So just on the same topic of the censorship, I get throttled on X constantly. And they flag me as spam. They do all things to shadow ban me. I got this notification. So, because, people were telling me like, hey, all of your comments are marked as spam, just so you know, nobody can see them. It's constant battle fighting the chosen ones in the tiny hats. They will constantly mass report you as spam, and tiny hatress Linda Yaccarino will gladly throttle your account as you go through the appeals process to have the quote unquote spam label removed from your post. So I got this notification from X. They said your account was not found to contain spam or be engaging in other types of platform manipulation. As a result, the temporary label has been removed. So why was my account flagged as spam? I don't know. I'm assuming that I got mass reported by the tiny hat folks because they don't like when I criticize Israel or Judaism or any of the powerful people who are controlling the most powerful institutions on the planet. And they happen to be Jewish. So I'm not allowed to talk about them. Apparently, that's off limits. If you talk about it, you get flagged, you get marked as spam. X did the right thing. They removed the flag. I'm sure that they still have other hidden flags and markers on my account that cause it to be throttled. It gets no reach at all. I don't know. I probably don't have, maybe I just don't have that great of content. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I know that my content's better than a lot of the other BS I see on there. You got freaking Hawk Tula girl with, however many people following her and whatever nonsense she's posted, putting out freaking scam coins, stealing millions of dollars from innocent, unsuspecting victims. You got, I don't know, just a bunch of morons out there who they get boosted. What's her name? Tiffany Fong. If you use X, you've probably seen Tiffany Fong. Elon Musk reposts her. It's just nonsense. She posts literal just bullshit nonsense. It's not important. It has nothing to do with reality. It's just garbage. And I think they push that type of stuff intentionally. I know that YouTube pushes garbage nonsense intentionally. That's why you got guys like Mr. Beast. Just mindless BS nonsense. As long as it's not political, they don't want anybody thinking too deeply about anything, because once you go down that path of thinking about things, especially if you're thinking critically and you're searching for answers, when you start searching for answers, well, the problem with that is that at times you find answers. Those answers that you find are probably not in the best interest of the controlling elites. They're not going to like it. Not one bit. They don't want you to know about that. So anyways, I get throttled. I try to put meaningful content out there. I try to give nuanced takes on what's happening in the world and spread awareness on various things. And I try to put thoughtful commentary out, but that's not what they're looking for in the real world, or whatever you want to call whatever this is that we're living in. I also got silenced on BattleNet Blizzard, which is Blizzard's just a DEI woke horde to use the Warcraft analogy there. they silence me. I say my social credit score has just been dropping by the day. First, I'm banned from Discord for alleged quote unquote violent extremism, and now I'm silenced on BattleNet for who knows what. I don't know. I don't know if these guys have a secret underground communication tunnels where they talk to each other. Discord goes, hey, we don't like what this guy's saying. Do you have any accounts with him with this information on it, this email address, this phone number, or whatever? And then they go, yeah, we'll give him we'll slap him around a little bit. They silenced my account, so whatever. I don't really care. Blizzard has gone downhill. I used to really love Blizzard games. I played Diablo. I played Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness. I played Warcraft 3. I played World of Warcraft. And I used to love Blizzard games. But lately it sucks. Overwatch is just total garbage. I can hardly play it. I try to play it, and I just get pissed off within 3 minutes. And then I quit. So there's that kind of sums up what's going on with the censorship in my own personal realm here. All right, what do we got going on over in the chat real quick before we move on to this next stuff? All right, let's see here. Rob says, I figured out it was that Blade guy. His server is still up. I called Blade out for being a rat. He said nothing. He said, I'm on Blade's server. I've been there for the last 7-8 months. So how is that the guy who was saying all that crap? So his server is still up, yet somehow my server's been nuked. Yeah, probably it was that guy. I don't know. I don't know nothing about him. Magus says he's a Fed 100%. All right. Well, I believe you guys. Not surprised. There's people out there, infiltrators. What can you do? What can you do? You live your life in fear for forever? I don't know. I don't want to do that personally. I guess I'll just pay the consequences, whatever those may be. I know in one of the emails that Discord sent me, they're like, if necessary, we'll report to the appropriate authorities or something along those lines. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, you're gonna send a message to the FBI? They're gonna look at it. They're gonna go, there's nothing here. This guy says to go buy silver and raise animals, and you call this violent extremism. All right, so here we go. We're gonna get into a little bit more into this Luigi Mangione topic. Now, one of the things that apparently there was some messages written on the bullet casings that said delay, deny, depose, or something along those lines. I guess there's a book called that. Somebody wrote a book about these scams, these insurance scams. This lady, New York Post, and I got the article up here. We'll get to it in a minute. But this lady, Florida mom, arrested for saying, quote, delay, deny, depose, on call with Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Now, look, this is literally what they do. I'm dealing with it right now. I'm going through this real time. They are delaying my case. They have denied me already. They have done that portion. Now they are in the delaying process. They've delayed me out for any recourse that I have. They keep pushing it out as long as they can. And what this really is it's a war of attrition. I've got more to lose. My health is on the line. My ability to function and use my limbs is on the line here. A spinal injury is a very serious thing. I can become a quadriplegic. I can become paralyzed very easily. And without treatment, eventually, likely I'll be either completely paralyzed or totally immobilized to whatever degree. And in the meantime, it's very uncomfortable and very painful. So they're going to fight a war of attrition against me. They're going to allow me to continue to suffer and get worse and worse and worse and delay and keep denying whatever they can possibly deny. And then, the lawyers go to battle over it and it gets delayed further. This is what they do. This is not some made up stuff. And everybody that deals with these people knows it. Now, if you're perfectly healthy, you never have to use your insurance. First of all, you're very lucky. I was that way for a long time. This story probably wouldn't have really piqued my attention as much as it does 10 years ago when I was perfectly healthy. There was nothing, that I wasn't having these issues. I wouldn't have really probably thought much about it. I go, oh, whatever. I don't even use insurance. Why do I care? You know, I go to see the doctor, once every 10 years or something. Maybe if even that. I don't, I try to avoid the doctors at all costs, especially now, nowadays I don't trust anybody, not even doctors. I guess to some degree you try to put a little bit of faith into the doctors, but really they've all been lied to too. I mean, they get lied to. They're the ones peddling the drugs and peddling false information. They took what the government said with the food pyramids and they tried to shove that down everybody's throat. They said, this is what you eat. This is healthy. It's all garbage. But I mean, wow, what a power flex by these elites. Look how much power these pharmaceutical bigwigs have. This lady was arrested for saying delay, deny, depose. Well, I'm assuming that's exactly what they're doing to her. So not like she's lying. She is just being honest. That's what they're doing. And I guess let me talk a second about just what I truly think about insurance anyways. I mean, insurance is such a scam because you have these companies that, they allegedly they're there to help you, right? They're there when times get dire, times get tough, something happens catastrophic and you need help. You got to have insurance. Everybody says it. You got to have insurance because without insurance, you're screwed. So what you do is every single month, you pay hundreds of dollars. I pay thousands of dollars in insurance when you're talking about my health insurance, my homeowner's insurance, my car insurance, and whatever other insurances are out there that I have. It ends up being thousands of dollars, at least a couple of $1,000s a month. I think my health insurance alone is $400 for the month. Homeowners insurance, I'm not sure. It's part of my mortgage. It's all wrapped up in there. Car insurance, a few $100. So over $1,000, maybe somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000. Either way, I'm taking that money, $1,000 to $2,000, dumping it into these insurances that I basically never use. I mean, I don't use my car insurance ever. And why won't I use them? Well, even if my car has a little bit of damage on it, I go, well, if I go in there and I make a claim on my insurance, now my premiums go up. They're gonna cost, my insurance is gonna cost more every month. So why would I want to do that? I would rather just take my own money and go and fix the car. But I have to, by law, here in the state of California, by law, I am required to operate my motor vehicle. I must have car insurance. So I take that money every month. I put it in there. I don't even use it. And if I were to cancel my insurance policy today, where did all that money go that I have been spending for 20 years? Every month, I give them money every month. Every month, it should be collecting up somewhere in an account, you would imagine, right? But obviously, it's not. What happens to that when the day comes where I go, I don't want to have a car insurance anymore. I sold all my cars. I'm going off grid, going dark. Where's all that money go? Well, the insurance company doesn't give it back to you. They keep it. Same with health insurance. You don't use health insurance. You just pay for it. I don't know how much I've paid in health insurance. Hardly ever used it. Very rarely have I ever used it. Homeowners insurance, same thing. I don't want to file a claim for my homeowners insurance because then the price of my insurance is going to go up. It's going to end up costing me even more in the long run. So I just either bite the bullet and don't do anything, or I fix it myself. I just take money out of my own account. Now imagine this. Imagine if I was just taking $2,000 a month and just putting it into my own little insurance account. Over the last 20 years, how much money would I have? I don't know, a lot. I mean, it might be in the millions. I'd be able to handle probably anything that came my way. I'd probably pay for my house to completely replace it. So I think that insurance is a scam. Now, also, and one of the reasons why you have to have insurance is because everything is so freaking expensive. And insurance actually is what causes these insane healthcare prices, because the healthcare companies just go, we'll just charge the insurance companies, whatever. So if a surgery would normally cost a few $1,000s, which is reasonable, these doctors, these healthcare places, they'll charge $130,000 or whatever for this insurance, or for this procedure. They'll charge the insurance companies. So these insurance companies that are guaranteed to pay. So it's just it's the same thing that happens with the education system. It's the same scam of these banks, of the private and the banking of these two sectors working in unison. And the government is a part of it as well. Because the government will come in and say, oh, you're required to do this, you're required to pay that, this, that, and the other thing. So they're all in cahoots. The bankers, the private companies, the government, they're all in on it. And it's all extracting and exploiting the regular human beings out there like me and you. So yeah, I mean, if you were saving that money yourself, you'd probably be fine. Now, like I was saying earlier, there is a solution to this. It's called free markets. Free the markets. Get rid of the red tape. Get rid of the government meddling around and fingering around within these industries. Get rid of all of that. I guarantee you, in a free market, an absolute true free market, you will not be overpaying. You would be able to imagine that $2,000 a month I was talking about. Imagine if you have a free market and the healthcare prices are dropped down to actual reasonable levels, because now you don't even need insurance anymore. These insurance companies go belly up. But that's the problem, right? These insurance companies have a hold on us. They've got a stranglehold on all of us. They've got so much money. They've accrued so much power. How do you stop it now? Because they're the ones who are going to lobby for the lawmakers. So how do you get rid of it? It's a problem. You know, we talk Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. They're talking about the Department of Government Efficiency and taking a hacksaw to a lot of this stuff, the red tape. I know Donald Trump is talking about removing red tape for people who want to build or start businesses in the United States of America. I mean, that's great. It's a great start. But it can't stop there. It's got to expand into all of these sectors, including the healthcare industry. Because things could be good. Things could be great. And there's no reason for them not to be great in the United States of America. Because we do have the Constitution. We're supposed to have these certain freedoms and these guarantees. They are being trampled upon. And they get very clever. If they can't get rid of your rights outright and blatantly, they find loopholes to get around it, and they do that by creating these entire systems like insurance scams. And that's really all that they are just big, massive scams. Just like Social Security is a massive scam. It's socialism, and it's a scam. You pay money into this thing your entire life. As they print more money at the Federal Reserve, money becomes worth less and less. They have to pay out more from Social Security. It's a pyramid scheme, and it's on a highway to hell. And it's going 1,000 miles an hour. There's no stopping it. There are no brakes. Social Security will fall apart. It's just a matter of when. How long can they continue just printing money out of thin air? Elon Musk is very concerned about this. I think everybody should be extremely concerned about this. The fact that trillions of dollars are being printed every single year. And, we're not talking 1 trillion. We're talking multiple trillions. The deficit is 36 trillion or some odd. It keeps going up and up and up. I mean, we're talking a trillion it seems like every few months, maybe once a quarter, it's up a trillion. Every other quarter, I don't know. It's insane though. It's an insanely fast clip, and it's not sustainable. It will implode. It will fall apart. That's why I always say buy gold, buy silver. Some people may even throw in Bitcoin or something like that in there. Sure, I don't know if I would, I mean, maybe it's great to diversify with a little bit of Bitcoin just in case, because it seems to be inverse. The dollar, as the dollar continues to decline, Bitcoin seems to be a safe haven. But the thing I don't trust about it is that in a massive EMP event or something like that, massive solar flare hits Earth, and suddenly our systems are failing. How do you access your Bitcoin if you don't have a computer that works? It's not tangible. It doesn't exist in the analog world. It's just exists on computers and on servers. So that can be easily, just by a natural occurrence, that could easily go away. Gold, silver, you'll have it. It'll still be there. I think that that's a great way to secure any wealth that you don't want to have. Look, even having it in a bank account, the dollar is devalued all the time, but they can freeze your bank accounts. They can freeze your assets. They can take your money away because they'll blame you or tell you that you're a violent extremist or whatever the case may be. So, well, I went on for a minute there. Anyway, let's finish up the story on this lady here. A Florida mother was arrested for saying delay, deny, depose. Brianna Boston, 42, was arrested at her Lakeland, Florida home on Tuesday after allegedly making threats on a call to Blue Cross Blue Shield regarding the denial of a recent medical insurance claim. Boston ended the recorded conversation with the company rep by saying delay, deny, depose. You people are next, Lakeland police said, according to the outlet. Well, I suppose that saying you people are next could be a bit threatening. That she's not specifically saying that she's going to do anything about it. But look, I think that should be a message. If anything is taken from this, like I've said, I'm not condoning violence. What I'm saying is if there is a moral to the story or some kind of lesson to be learned here, maybe they should rethink their business model of screwing people over, especially sick people. Because that is horrible and evil. To take people who are already suffering, and physical suffering or mental suffering, whatever it may be, they are both horrible. Being physically disabled is a struggle. It sucks, especially, look, I might be salvageable here. I'm hoping that eventually I can get a surgery that will fix me. That maybe it makes me worse. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to take a risk here. I'm going to have to put some faith into these doctors and hope that they can fix me, because I can't live the way that I am forever. Maybe it makes me worse. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I'm very scared. But to take advantage and exploit people who are sick or dying or disabled, it's pure evil. And their tactics of delaying and denying and all that. Look, we pay for this stuff. What are we paying for? Why am I paying all this money for insurance for me to go make a claim and I get denied? Why would I want to continue paying for that? Where does all that money go? Why can't I cash in on my investment? I've been paying these assholes, and yet now you can deny the claim. Well, look, you look at what the doctors are the ones who are verifying. I'm not lying. They've got MRIs. How can you deny a person? I don't know. It's corrupt. Let's see. The detectives with the Lakeland police showed up at Boston's home and questioned her about the phone conversation with the insurance giant. The mother of three then told cops that, quote, healthcare companies played games and deserved karma from the world because they are evil. She's not wrong. If karma's real, they're getting it. It is a bit insane. Now, I guess I have to reiterate the fact that I am not condoning violence, but it is insane that people who commit the biggest atrocities on humanity, they're responsible for pain, suffering, and death, and they are profiting off of it, and they never face a day in prison. They're never charged. There is no justice. Nothing ever happens. These people get away with it within the system that we live in. It seems to be totally legal, even though it's extremely corrupt and fraudulent and evil at its core. How do these people get to walk freely around the world? You know, you have, and this is not just the medical industry. That's all the people who are creating poisonous foods and making massive profits off of it, making you sick, so that the medical, pharmaceutical guys can get filthy rich. The people who are going into war are starting wars, lobbying for war, fomenting wars in foreign countries because they want to sell weapons. These people never see justice. They never face a day in prison. They're never even charged with anything. In fact, all they do is profit. So, you know, I understand, and that's the thing when it comes to sort of these leftist commie types, because when they talk, so they talk sometimes about this stuff, and I go, look, I agree with you on the fact that these systems are totally insane and horrible, but you're saying that you want communism to replace this capitalistic system. I mean, capitalism and communism, they're just opposite sides of the same coin. They're both corrupt. They're both evil ideologies. The only pure economic ideology, if you want to call it an ideology, would be free marketism. Free markets is the purest and most natural form of economics. And it follows the laws of nature. It follows the laws of physics. So that's my answer to the commies. Because, you know, people might go, you sound like a leftist talking about these billionaires, zillionaires, and the corruption. And I am, and, you know, I don't condone capitalism. There was a time I was confused. I didn't know the difference between capitalism. I thought that free markets meant capitalism. I thought that capitalism meant free markets. That's not true at all. You've got to divorce those two terms. There's no such thing as free market capitalism. There are free markets and there are capitalism. And capitalism is an ideology that's based on greed and accumulation of wealth and just centralizing it into as much as you can and getting more and more powerful. And within that system, you are going to have people who are going to create all these laws. The government gets involved and there's red tape. You got to have it totally unregulated. It's got to be a wild west. It's got to be totally free in order for it to work, because nobody can fight against the free market, because there will always be somebody who is willing. The market will always know what's best. Imagine the market as its own living entity, living, breathing entity. It will always know. It will decide what the prices should be. What is a fair value? That's what a free market does. And that would totally fix the problems, what we have in almost basically everything on the planet, the face of the earth. You fix the money, you fix everything. You fix the markets, get rid of all of this crap and give us free markets, and everybody will prosper. Unless you just want to be a total bum, then you won't prosper. But if you put effort in, you will get something out of it. All right, so that's me rambling on about free markets, health care systems, and all that fun stuff. So, we're not done. That's right. We haven't really talked about Luigi all that much. So there was just that. That was a power flex on that lady. I say, it's a time that we as a society talk about the scams and those insurance policies. You spend large amounts of money every month to insure your home, vehicles, health, and even your life. There's still a good possibility you'll be denied your benefits. The insurance industrial complex is co-opted by the government, which is why you are in many cases required by law to hold insurance. Insurance is just another scam used to squeeze the lower middle classes. If you were to take that money and put it into a generic quote-unquote insurance account that you maintain custody of, you could collect interest on it or even hold it in low-risk stocks in order to expand its value. That's right. Taking your money and putting it into an account where you're going to gain interest, or you could even put it into the stock market if you want to do that. And as they continue to print the dollar into oblivion and the stock prices keep going up and up and up because these companies keep getting more and more rich. And it's not even that they're really getting more rich even, it's just that they raise their prices as inflation goes up. So the more money there is out there, the more that they're going to have of it. That's another problem with this capitalistic system is that they allow fiat. And fiat's just imaginary. But yeah, I mean, what a great idea that you could just hold it. And you think that rich people have these expensive insurance plans? They don't have, they don't, like your average insurance company is not going to insure a Lamborghini or something like that. And you gotta have some kind of insurance to register your vehicle. So what do? They go out and they buy these like personal bonds or whatever. They say, here's $1 million and I'm going to put it in this account. If something happens to the vehicle, that money is secured in a bond that, so, go ahead and register my vehicle because there's something to cover. The money is there. So rich people don't need this stuff. They have plenty of money that they can just do things like that. All right, so let's see what somebody posted the guy's manifesto. Here he is, Luigi Mangione. Now I don't know. Is this real? Is this a CIA op? Who knows? I mean, there's just, how do you know anything anymore? There's just no way of knowing. We can trust it. We'll try to. We'll live within the simulation, and we'll just say that it's legit. So he says, quote, "To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country." Now, see, right off the bat, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? This guy's some sort of vigilante or whatever. He's the Dark Knight for healthcare. And he's like, to the feds, I have respect for what you do. I don't know if I'm buying that. Especially when you read some of the other stuff about him where he seems to have a deep admiration for guys like Ted Kaczynski. Would a person who has deep admiration for Ted Kaczynski tell the feds that, hey, I respect what you do for the country? I don't think so. So that's where I start to go, what is this? Either this is a schizophrenic rambling or it's fake. It says, to save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial, some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. Spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. Now, whoever wrote this, they are correct on the parasitic behavior of the insurance scammers. Very true. But that doesn't mean that this is real. This could just be that they know the sentiment. They know what they're doing is evil. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly #2 in life expectancy. United is something indecipherable there, largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. Pretty crazy, if you ask me. I did not know that, but I have not verified if that's true or not. If so, that's pretty crazy. Just behind Apple, Google, and Walmart, you have this United Healthcare. That's how rich and powerful these guys are. It continues on here. It has grown and grown, but has our life? I think it's an error there. Has our life expectancy? Question mark. No, not at all. No, the reality is these something indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space and frankly do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed Rosenthal more decades ago, and the problem simply remained. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Now, and the fact that he says that he does not consider himself to be qualified to talk about this problem, I find that to be skeptical as well, because there are other things that they have found. You know, he wrote a review on Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, and I mean, this guy his writing abilities are pretty brilliant. Actually, this sounds pretty dumb compared to some of the reviews that he was writing on the internet for books. So I find it strange that he would dumb himself down for his little manifesto here. And also that he, you know, this type of a guy, he believes that he knows what's going on. If you're to the point where you're going to go out and start blowing holes into people, you'd probably consider yourself to be somewhat of an expert on the topic. I don't think you just overnight just to make that decision and go out and do it. So is this even the real guy? Is this really the shooter? I don't know. This could be a total patsy situation. I'm not sure. I mean, the pictures don't really add up to me when you look at sort of, you don't get much of a view, but just the top of his face. And then there's that one picture where, you know, they think it's him. He has his mask down. He's flirting with a barista at Starbucks or something like that. But it doesn't look like this guy. This guy looks different to me. So there is something weird going on here. This story, we're not getting all of the information, and I don't know what's going on. I know that we're about to see, hopefully, some changes within the FBI here. Christopher Wray announced that he's stepping down. Trump has already announced that Kash Patel will be going in to take over the FBI. You know, I think, you know, I'll probably have some issues with Kash, but there's a lot of things I think Kash will be great at within there. And so, you know, and that's basically with everybody in the world. I'm always going to probably have some issues with some of their thoughts or policies. And then there's going to be things that I agree with them on. And I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I try to judge people on individual circumstances and actions. You know, like I always say with Elon Musk, some things that Elon Musk does, I think are really great, really brilliant. And I think that they're, you know, overall good. There are some things that I think that are really bad about Elon Musk. You know, it's a mixed bag. But we'll see what happens with the FBI. I'm interested to see it. You know, I want to find out about the JFK stuff. I want to find out about the 9/11. These J6 files have got to be talked about. There's a lot of things, you know, who knows what else? I don't know what else could be in there. Hopefully Kash Patel goes through and releases anything of interest to the American public. I think that would be a good move. I would approve of that. All right, let's see. We'll check out the chat real quick before we move on, just to see if you guys got any commentary here. Oh, you guys are still talking about Canada. Canada healthcare, something going on over there. Or I don't know, you're talking about the Canadian government. All right, we'll move on. We're going to talk about Trump, time of the year here. Or man of the year, person of the year. Is it was it always called person of the year, or will it used to be called man of the year? So, talked about this a few times. Donald Trump, there was a clear turning point in the media and the way that Donald Trump was covered and portrayed. Not just within the media, but within the celebrity realm. I mean, these are all controlled entities. They're all puppeted by the same people in the shadows. But we saw when Donald Trump came out and bent the knee, and he did the little dance and wore the little hat and went to the tomb of Rebbe Schneerson, the Lubavitch, Chabad, whatever. And let me just talk about that rabbi for a second. And I've talked about this before, but I really like to just drive this point home because this is so important. You need to have for context. When I talk about the fact that Trump went to this guy's grave or whatever, his tomb in New York, why is this so significant? Why do I always bring that up? Because Rabbi Schneerson of the Chabad Lubavitch synagogue there in New York, the Tunnel Jews, there is plenty of video of him talking to Benjamin Netanyahu that goes back to like the 1980s. He told Benjamin Netanyahu that he believes that he is the one who can bring about the Moshiach, the Messiah, or as Christians would call it, the Antichrist. Schneerson believed that Benjamin Netanyahu, very close friends with Schneerson. And Benjamin Netanyahu seems to have some sort of prophet complex as well. You know, he thinks that he is bringing about whatever these end time prophecies are. And Schneerson was a Jewish supremacist. Many of his views were extremely frightening, especially when it comes to white people and the United States of America. He was the purest of pure Zionists and a Jewish supremacist. He believes that Jews will run the entire world, which they basically do at this point already. If you're looking at it, objectively, who runs the media, the banks, movies, everything that you see, everything that you hear, basically, other than some of these freer platforms like Rumble, and, I'm on YouTube. This may be the last time I do YouTube. So, I think it's just too much. I don't want to leave too much of a profile on YouTube. They're too dangerous. They're gonna infiltrate me and investigate me or something. I don't trust. I got banned from Discord. I just can't trust these people. Rumble, can I even trust them? I don't know, but I trust them more than YouTube. That's for sure. The things I talk about can probably get me into trouble with some of these people, and it's similar to the communist, the Bolshevik tactic. Show me the man, and I'll tell you the crime. We don't agree with that guy. So we're going to make up a crime and persecute him. So, anyways, Donald Trump, he bent the knee, kissed the ring of the Zion, and now he's portrayed glowingly in the media, even Person of the Year on Time magazine. At one point in 2016, Time had posted a picture of Donald Trump where they put the M over his head to look like little devil ears or devil horns. They were no friend of Donald Trump, at least not on the surface. A lot of these media news companies or channels or outlets, they've all totally shifted 180 degrees on Donald Trump. Do you think that they woke up one day and they go, oh, wait, Trump's the good guy. Okay, now I just believe that. No, these people were told, they got marching orders. None of that stuff is organic. They do it in a way that they try to make it feel organic. Like, I guess, I don't know. They just put out these stories. All of a sudden one person says it and then it kind of spreads and then more people are allowed to say it. It was the same with COVID, the narrative there. Jon Stewart was the guy who kind of came out. They were like, okay, now you're allowed to say this. You're allowed to say it came from Wuhan. They do this all the time. It's just how they do business. All right. So anyways, we'll move on. We're going to start. And, this kind of ties into the Trump stuff because the fact that he bent the knee and kissed the ring of Zion means that we are, we're going to be backing Israel in wars for the foreseeable future. The fact that Donald Trump appears, at least, and I can only hope that this is a facade, but on the surface, he appears to be fully on board with the Zionist agenda and fully wants Israel to succeed in their agenda over there in the Middle East. And he's made comments about how he wants to, basically, when he gets in, he's going to defeat Hamas. He's going to go in there and they call every Palestinian Hamas, every Gazan Hamas. So basically just, I don't know, nuke the area. I don't know what they're going to do, but probably not nuke it, but maybe we send them just a ton of weapons and go just bomb it, turn it into glass, kill everybody there, and then we'll move on. But anyways, you got Israel now with the West co-opted, right, with NATO and the United States. The U.S. is really the weapon that is being wielded, right? We are the massive battle axe that Israel wields. They own us. They control us. They control basically every element of our country, even the information that is input into our brains. But they certainly have sway within the military-industrial complex and definitely within the government and lobbying politicians and getting us into wars. Now, you guys remember ISIS? Allegedly, Trump had defeated them, and then there was a resurgence. You guys remember Al-Qaeda? This is who we were fighting. This was Osama bin Laden. This is what was all these wars in Afghanistan were all about Al-Qaeda. Well, guess who the U.S. was funding, along with other NATO Western countries and Israel? They were all funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They were giving them weapons and giving them money and giving them intelligence. They called them Syrian rebels. They say the rebels are making progress. The rebels this, the rebels that. What they mean by the rebels is ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So they have long wanted to overthrow the Assad regime there in Syria. And now they want to replace it, apparently, with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Well, why would they want ISIS and Al-Qaeda? Well, for one, I mean, obviously, this is going to be horrible for Christians in Syria. There's going to be Sharia law. Assad, from what I understand, was more secular. And he was backed by Russia, the Russian Federation, and Putin, which is a Christian country. So I don't think Assad was going to be able to get away with persecuting and murdering Christians. I don't think Putin would have allowed it. But now Assad is out. They're going to have Sharia law with these Muslim extremists that apparently the same guys that we've been fighting spent $9 trillion on these wars in the Middle East. I can't even think about this stuff sometimes. Just so mind-blowing, the absurdity of it. Anyways, Christians will be persecuted. They already are being persecuted there. So if you're a Christian, this should alarm you. Or if you're a Christian adjacent or just a supporter of Christians and the fact that our country was founded on Christian principles, I would say that most people should at least support the idea of Christianity. See, it's starting to make sense why Biden left all those weapons in Afghanistan. Yeah, we left billions of dollars, helicopters, all kinds of stuff, guns, night vision goggles. We just that's how they do this stuff. They launder all this stuff somehow.
Restore Syria after more than
and that's how they do business. And Biden, it says here, Biden pledges to send aid to the new regime to rebuild Syria. I guess we could listen to that real quick. Let's see what he says. All right.
With a new constitution, a new government that serves all Syrians. And this process will be determined by the Syrian people themselves. And the United States will do whatever we can to support them, including through humanitarian relief to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war and generations of brutality.
Yeah, so it's the same old song and dance. We fund the destruction of a country. We fund these rebels that we were fighting in a war just previously. Now we'll be fighting. Now that they've done our bidding, the U.S. government's bidding. Now we're gonna. And this is another point that I wanted to make is that. Well, why do we back ISIS and Al Qaeda to go in there and these rebels, the so-called rebels, to go in there and overthrow Assad? Well, it's going to be much easier for Israel and the U.S. to, for one, justify blowing them up because we have already been preconditioned for decades at this point to go ISIS bad, Al Qaeda bad. The fact that we funded and weaponized them, that doesn't make headlines. Nobody even, your average person probably is not even aware of that. But they're going to go, oh, well, now ISIS and Al Qaeda is persecuting Christians and implementing Sharia law, and we got to go blow them up. This is how you get your war in Syria. This is what they've wanted. They've been talking about it for 20 fucking years. Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq. They've been talking about it for a long time. And who's going to do the rebuild? I wonder who. Who gets the contracts? We know BlackRock got the contract for $450 fucking billion in Ukraine. BlackRock's going to have its own personal country. They're going to own that country. Who gets the contracts to rebuild Syria?
Brutality.
Well, I don't know. BlackRock, maybe it's one of these other guys. Maybe it's State Street or Vanguard or Blackstone, or maybe it's Halliburton. Maybe it's Dick Cheney's company, Liz Cheney's company. Maybe it's Joe Biden's brother. I don't know. Somebody's going to get the contract, though. Biden's already saying that we're going to send aid and we're going to rebuild Syria. And, you know, we're going to rebuild Syria for Al-Qaeda? We're sending more money to Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is now in charge of Syria, folks. That's who overthrew Assad. So we're going to send more money to Al-Qaeda. The same people that we spent $9 trillion fighting a war in Afghanistan for 20 years. They blamed 9/11 on Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, remember? We know who it was. We know Mossad, the CIA. You know, that wasn't a Zionist plan there to take out the World Trade Center and get us into wars. I've got the USS Liberty story that Candace covered earlier and yesterday, and we'll talk about that. That kind of ties in there. We'll get to that in a minute, but see what else we got here. Oh, look at this. Yeah, LA Times. In Syria, militias armed by the Pentagon fight those armed by the CIA. How about that? This is a real headline. In Syria, militias armed. So these are the rebels they're talking about. They're arming Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The Pentagon is arming some of them, and the CIA is arming others of them. And then they're in there fighting. I said the U.S. funds both sides of wars when the goal is to destabilize the country or region. They succeeded here and can now install puppet government. They have succeeded. This is mission success for them. Mission accomplished. It's not that this was, you know, they want this headline. It makes it sound like this is incompetency, right? What the hell is going on here? The guys at the CIA aren't talking to the guys at the Pentagon? What's going on? Is this what you guys are out of your damn minds? This is crazy. What kind of incompetency, idiotic nonsense is this? No, this is all intentional. The Pentagon and the CIA want to fund both sides of this thing so that they can create chaos and destabilize the region. And then they walk in there after the place is in flames and install their puppet government, somebody that they can control. So, mission success for the deep state here in the U.S. and Israel, which I find inseparable. Israeli government, Mossad, U.S. deep state, CIA, Pentagon. I see them all as the same entity. I don't think you can really separate them. All right, and then you got Alex Jones finally saying something that makes sense when it comes to the Middle East. Luke Rudkowski posted the video. Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel is announcing that they are capturing territory from Syria in the Golan Heights buffer zone. And there's Benjamin Netanyahu right there announcing that. We don't need to watch the video. I watched it earlier. I can confirm. In fact, yes, that's the case. Alex Jones says, translation, Greater Israel is expanding. Now, wait a second. Alex Jones, you're not allowed to say that. You can't talk about Israel. What are you doing? You almost just lost InfoWars, didn't you? Now you're going to come out and say something like that, your masters will not be happy. Look, I like Alex Jones. I think overall he's a net benefit. And especially his work over the last 20 years, of course, he's been calling things out and talking about things that other people don't talk about. And that's great. But when it came to Israel for the last few years, the last couple of years, he will never admit to who is running these operations and working within the deep state of the United States. He won't call out Israel on any of the evils that they are conducting. But now he's admitting that he does, in fact, know about the greater Israel agenda, which I've been talking about openly. Probably one of the reasons why I get shadow banned, suspended, banned. You know, I've had multiple YouTube bans. Maybe I get one today. Maybe I don't do YouTube anymore. If you only watch me on YouTube, which isn't very many people, maybe 20 to 30, then go follow me on Rumble, because I may not be back on YouTube. Rumble, I feel safer with. But the Jews have been talking about the greater Israel agenda for, millennia. I don't know how long, centuries maybe. But this has been an open agenda that they believe that the Holy Land, they have their borders, that they've, this is something I'm telling you, the rabbis and they will talk about this openly. You can find the information out there. It's not hidden. Now, you will be told that you're a kooky conspiracy nut job if you bring it up in conversation in polite society. The powers that be will tell you that you're an anti-Semite and bigot and racist and crazy. Say all kinds of things about you. But they have a plan. They want to take over the northern part of Egypt, all of what is now Palestine, Israel. They want to take over Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, or parts of Iraq, about half of Iraq or so, and parts of Jordan. And that is their plan. That they openly talk about. Benjamin Netanyahu is pretty open about that as well. You can find him talking about it if you search the internet. People tell me I'm a kooky conspiracy theorist for talking about the greater Israel agenda, or tell me I'm an anti-Semite. And hey, it's right there in front of your face. But let's talk about some of the biblical prophecies having to do with Syria, Damascus. And the reason I bring this up, I have some Bible verses here, and this is something that I think is important to think about, because the people, it doesn't matter if you believe in it, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or whatever, it doesn't matter what you believe, because these people who are conducting these wars, they believe these prophecies, and they believe that they can bring about these prophecies, I guess I should say. They are working to bring about, and I guess if you are one of these Jews who wants to bring about these prophecies, you would, if you're serious about it, you would say, well, look, we're not going to sit around and wait for it to happen organically. Somebody's got to make it happen, right? It's not just going to happen on its own. So Isaiah 17, quote, "See, Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins." Isaiah 17:4, "The fortified city will disappear from Ephraim, and royal power from Damascus. You have forgotten God, your Savior. You have not remembered the rock, your fortress." So you could call these prophecies in Isaiah that Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins. The fortified city will disappear from Ephraim, and royal power from Damascus. And in Jeremiah 49, it says I guess they didn't put these up, but it contains prophecies that Damascus will be destroyed and will not be inhabited again. So what is Israel's plan for Damascus? I'm assuming they want to destroy it. Now there were a lot of people who were confused because the so-called rebels had overthrown Assad. Assad fled Many people thought he was dead because they were saying his plane had crashed. I think he fled to Russia for safe haven. I guess he's a refugee there now at this point, asylum seeker. But even after ISIS and Al-Qaeda successfully overthrew Assad and he fled, Israel was bombing the shit out of Damascus. More Alex Jones here. He says, if Assad fled and the army surrendered yesterday, why is Israel bombing government buildings in the Syrian capital? I have spent over an hour looking for why they did this and can find nothing. Please comment below if you can find it. This was my response to Alex Jones, is that this is about fulfilling biblical prophecies to bring about whatever the agenda they have here. I don't know if this is something necessary. Does Damascus have to be destroyed in order for the Moshiach to show up? I really don't know, but it's kind of interesting that the Bible says this and they're blowing up Damascus. All right, let's see. Oh, we got a new chatter here. Melissa NTX, you are live. Yes, I'm live. I'm here live. If you have commentary, questions, whatever, go ahead and throw them in there. We don't have much more to go here. I got a couple more topics I want to cover, and that'll be that. Okay, so there you go. That's what I got on the biblical part there. Let's get back into modern times. This stuff is just so blatant. I can't even believe my eyes sometimes. I can't believe that anybody buys this. There are multiple videos. CNN has been on a propaganda tear. I've seen multiple videos. This is the latest one that I've seen. I saw one of allegedly a Syrian girl who said that she was afraid to leave her home for 13 years under Assad, and now she can go free under the Sharia law of Al-Qaeda, apparently. CNN reporting, I think it's the same lady. These are clearly staged. This is clearly scripted. There is no doubt about that. This is total propaganda. And literally, you might as well just be watching a movie when you watch the news. And they do the same thing with movies, too. Movies are full of messaging and propaganda and narrative building. And once you start to really dig into this stuff and open your eyes, it's very difficult to enjoy any sort of media entertainment because all you see is the messaging, all you see is the propaganda. I tried to watch Indiana Jones the other day. Good God. They were still, so this is the thing with Indiana Jones is the ones from back in the 80s. Of course, the bad guy is the Nazis, and it's a bunch of really anti-Nazi propaganda, which, look, I'm not like a pro-Nazi. I find them, I'm indifferent to them. I don't think that they are as evil. I don't think Hitler was as evil as he is portrayed in history, in the history that we're taught, in all of the media that is shoved down our throats. I don't think, was he purely great? I don't know, and I don't really have a dog in the fight. I don't have hold loyalty to some foreign European country's government from 80 years ago. What I'm saying is that we've been lied to. They say, they give us this image of these Germans who were Nazis at the time and say, how could these people turn on the Jews? And, because if you look at like the Dutch, they're like the goofiest, sweetest clockmaker, whatever. It's just, how you do? But no, they're just, they're out there with their windmills just being goobers. They don't, they're very peaceful, nice, and very smart people. But Indiana Jones, of course, they're portraying just the usual anti-Nazi, anti-Germany, Hitler propaganda. And then the new Indiana Jones. Well, who is the bad guy in the new Indiana Jones? Well, how convenient. It's Russia, of course, because these are just used to market propaganda. The boogeyman of current day is Vladimir Putin and the Russians. Even though Vladimir Putin and Russia seems to be one of the most reasonable world powers that exists. Far more reasonable than Israel or the United States, the things that we do. They're crazy. So I say you might as well watch a fairy tale movie or a TV show if you're going to watch the scripted news media. Everything they create is propaganda to push their Jewish world order agenda. When I say that, I'm talking about the Greater Israel agenda. I'm talking about the New World Order. It is inherently Jewish. I mean, can you beat around the bush on it? Not to say that every single Jew out there is a part of a grand conspiracy. But you'll be accused of saying that anytime you criticize the most powerful people on the planet. They are eternally the victims, no matter what. Even during World War II, they held more power than any group on the planet. They literally controlled the banks of Europe and the United States. But obviously, they also don't mind a little bit of ritual sacrifice, if you will. Ritual sacrifice, similar to USS Liberty. We'll get into that in a second. Ritual sacrifice like 9/11, all of the Gentiles who perished, the thousands of them in that false flag. Or even Pearl Harbor, all these things. There is human sacrifice involved. Anyways, we're talking about CNN and the Looney Tunes nonsense propaganda. Let me show you this video here. And, you could kind of come up with your own conclusion. My opinion is that this is extremely fake and scripted.
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky. My God, the light, he says. Oh God, there is light. My God, there is light. Okay.
All right, so this isn't even the full video. I guess I posted a clip that this one is not as good as the other one. I mean, you can still tell this is totally just all staged. The guy is like not even dirty. There's no way if he was that healthy, if he had been locked away in a dungeon for years. He's in pretty good health there. His skin looks bright. He's not malnourished. So, and he's not like dying from the sunlight. Imagine if you were in a dungeon for 5 years or whatever they're claiming. The sunlight would be absolutely painful for you. Your eyes would have a very difficult time adjusting. But there's an earlier part where they find him. This is the part that's like super like movie scripted fake. So the camera crew goes into this dungeon where this prison or whatever, and there's like a rolled up sleeping bag. It looks like a brand new like Coleman out of the freaking store. They unwrapped it off of Amazon or whatever, and it's in the corner in a concrete floor. And they walk in there, and the lady's like, "Oh my, is there anybody here?" It's almost like one of those ghost hunter shows. Anybody here? Is there anybody here? And then they they start poking the sleeping bag. They go, "Oh, there's a person here." And he gets up and he's like, "Oh, I'm a civilian, don't shoot." And then they give him water, and it's a total BS nonsense. That's what it is. But okay, I see we got over the YouTube chat, Samantha Womack over there. Says so true. Now it's Iranian motherships and drones. Yeah, I gotta look into those Iranian drones that they're talking. What was it? They were saying that these New Jersey UFOs, the government's claiming that these are Iranian drones, that they have an Iranian ship off of the coast of the. It all seems very ridiculous to me. At least their story is. Does anybody buy this stuff anymore? Is this? I mean, really? Or there's not anybody that's stupid out there. Yeah, all BS. And so Samantha Womack, I don't know if you were listening earlier, I was talking about, I'm probably going to be getting away from YouTube because YouTube is a nightmare. If you have Rumble, follow me on Rumble. I don't come on all that often anymore, but when I do, that's where I'll be. Make sure you hit the reminder bell. If Rumble has a reminder bell, hit that, so that way you get a reminder or an alert or whatever when I do go live, because it is a little bit intermittent. And hit that follow button, subscribe, but whatever. Hit the follow, hit the like button, all that good stuff. All right, we got one more thing we're going to talk about, and this kind of ties into some of the other stuff that we were talking about. But Candace Owen interviewed this guy, Phil Cherney, who was a sailor on the USS Liberty when it was attacked by Israeli fighter jets and a ship that fired a torpedo at it. And I recommend you watch it if you haven't already. I say hopefully everyone will follow Phil Cherney and give this man a voice. His story is extremely important, especially when contextualizing how we got to where we are today as a country. Candace did a great interview with him. I definitely recommend you watch it if you haven't already. This is the type of stuff that gets memory hold and sort of deleted from the history books, because if you don't have this information, then you cannot properly contextualize what is happening with our relationship with Israel. So they banned this information practically from it's not in the history books. You're not going to learn this in school, right? Luckily, these men survived and they tell their story. They've been totally mistreated and totally abused by the U.S. government. The U.S. government turned their back on these sailors, these soldiers, and basically said Lyndon B. Johnson, who I didn't know this, he's Jewish. I'd found that out today. I was today years old when I found that out. Apparently through his mother's side. So he was extremely friendly to Israel. He believed that Israel needed to be protected at all costs, our greatest ally, all of that nonsense. He literally said, we don't want to embarrass our good friends, Israel. So he had the American jets that were being scrambled to go see what was going on. He called it off. The ships that were going to go help out the USS Liberty, he called it off. It wasn't just him, there was another guy in the State Department as well. You got to watch the interview. There's a lot of information there. I'm not going to be able to get into all of it, but it's a very compelling story, and it really puts things into perspective. Let's see. Melissa in Texas says, if I was going to come up with my own conclusion, it would be much more positive, delusional, and upbeat. You know, I don't blame you for that. I wish I was more like that. You know, I really do. Seeing the world objectively and seeing for what it really is absolutely frustrating, and it is depressing. So yeah, pretending to be white-pilled is maybe one way to keep your sanity. I don't know. I can't talk shit on it. You know, if that's what you want to do, I totally understand. Anyways, let's see. Candace Owen says, thank you, Phil Cherney, for trusting me with your story, and thank you for gifting me what is now my new favorite hat. That's her USS Liberty AGTR 5. Really interesting story. They had CIA, NSA, all kinds of weird stuff going on that ship. It was a spy ship. These guys didn't know. The enlisted guys, they had no idea. They were told that they were scanning the bottom of the ocean with some kind of radar or something like that. This is how the CIA was operating back then. Imagine how they're operating now and what they're doing. So she says it's the story is trending worldwide. She says, I'm proud to stand with the survivors of the horrific false flag attack executed by Israel to drag Americans into war. This was Israel's second attempted false flag attempt after the Limbaugh affair, and it positively despicable that American students learn of neither of these despicable acts because of our bought for and blackmailed leaders in D.C. like Likud Party journalists. Yeah, so she's totally spot on here. This false flag was meant to start a war with Saudi Arabia within the Middle East. This was all in the behest of Israel. Israel wanted to blame this on somebody else. Unfortunately for them, there were survivors, there were witnesses, and they said, "Hey, those were Israeli jets and Israeli ships that were firing at us." The Limbaugh affair, if you're not familiar with that, that was when Mossad or Israeli operators had planted a bomb in, I think it was the embassy in Egypt, the American embassy in Egypt, and they were trying to start a war there. Somehow it didn't work out. I don't remember exactly what happened. Maybe the bomb didn't go off, something along those lines. But you can look into that. I mean, there's plenty of evidence out there to show that Israel really truly is not our greatest ally. In fact, they are, in my opinion, our worst enemy. And that's extremely concerning, considering the fact that many loyalists to Israel are deeply embedded within our own government and within our financial economic system, within our medical system, within all these things that have so much influence and impact over our lives. So, all right, let's see here. We got a couple people chatting over in the YouTube here. So that's why I have to listen. Melissa in Texas says, that's why I have to listen to people like you. Yeah, I'll bring you back down to earth. You know, maybe try and find somewhere in the middle, that just in order to keep your sanity, you know, you're going to get a lot of raw truth from me, but it could be a lot to handle from time to time. And Samantha Womack says, agreed. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate you guys chatting out there. And over in the Rumble chat, what do we got going on here? Rob Rosethorn says, true, Steve, they've been giving us soft disclosure for a long while now. Things are not all that different, only gaining speed on the slippery slope. The amount of things which have come true, which we've seen in movies through the years. Yeah, you know, predictive programming or whatever you want to call it. They do. And this is sort of stems from the esoteric belief that they have this belief, and it's called karmic retribution. And basically what that is, I've talked about it before, but basically as long as they tell you what they are going to do to you, then they will not face karmic retribution. So basically they will not be punished. So as long as they hand you a poison apple and they tell you this is a poison apple, and you go, oh, thank you, and you eat it, and then you die, well, they cannot be held accountable for that. But usually the way that they disclose the information is usually a little more hidden. So they'll say it in a jokingly manner. They would say, you know, oh, look at guess what? This is a poison apple, you know, or jokingly, you know, to make you think like they're just being, you know, kind of a goofball, when in actuality it is poison and it's going to kill you. All right. Anyways, what else we got here? Let's see. Rob says only 1/3 of the crew survived. The rest were killed in the attack on USA Liberty. Yeah, 1/3 of the crew survived. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, now look, what did I say? I know that some of them survived. I don't know how many survived, but 1/3 sounds believable to me. Yeah, there were 2 crews on the shift. One was a covert op, and one was the overt op, which is generally how a lot of the covert oftentimes will use a overt operation as an umbrella for them. That's why, you know, my questioning of the pipelines that got blown up a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, they had some kind of military event going on there around the same, you know, or a few weeks prior. And it's like, okay, they were probably using that event as an overt operation while they had another covert operation that was going down and planting bombs or something along those lines on the pipelines. All right. Okay. Well, think that's pretty good for what do we got? We did like an hour and a half. That's about normal for me now. That's about all I can do. Not feeling the greatest. So anyways, please hit that follow, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you haven't already. Appreciate anybody who watches the show. I know I get banished and banned and suspended a lot, but you know, it's worth it to me. I don't care that much. It's like I would rather die on my feet than on my knees begging, basically, is how I feel. So I'm not going to allow people to trample all over my rights and strike fear into me and shut me up. If you can suspend me and silence me and all those things, and those are very effective ways to get rid of people and get rid of voices, and it does work against me. I don't have a large following, but even for my little show, I will not shut up, and I will keep talking and trying to expose the truth. So anyways, thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. I don't know when it'll be, but hopefully soon.